Right now, somewhere in Beijing, a PLA general is staring at a briefing that should not be possible. The fighter jet his entire Air Force was built to counter, the one China spent 20 years and $60 billion designing against, no longer exists as a strategic threat because the United States replaced it in secret 5 years before anyone knew. While China's J-20 pilots were celebrating parity with the F-22, America was already flying something else entirely. Something faster, something darker, something that makes every radar tower China ever built completely irrelevant. It's called the F-47. And the trap it just set for China's Air Force may be the most calculated strategic deception since the Manhattan Project. Let's break it open. Let me explain exactly what trap means here, because this isn't just about one airplane. For 2 decades, China's PLA Air Force built its entire air dominance strategy around a single assumption. The F-22 Raptor is America's peak fighter. 187 of them. Known stealth signature, known radar cross-section, known combat radius of 410 nautical miles. China built against those exact numbers. They deployed the HQ-9 and HQ-19 surface-to-air missile systems, calibrated specifically to detect F-22 stealth signatures. They manufactured 500-plus J-20 fighters, designed specifically to counter an F-22 in close airspace. They invested in the KJ-3000 airborne early warning aircraft, optimized for 5th-generation threat detection. Every dollar equivalent, every engineering hour, every radar installation pointed at the same target, and then in March 2025, the U.S. Air Force walked out and said, "We've been flying the replacement for 4 years. Meet the F-47. Here's what that moment actually means for China. They didn't just fall behind. They spent 2 decades preparing for a war that was already obsolete before they finished preparing for it. The F-47 isn't just a new airplane. It is a deliberate strategic trap, and China walked straight into it. Now here's where it gets worse for Beijing. Because the F-47's capabilities don't just outperform the F-22, they break the math on every counter system China built, one by one. Let's go through them, not as a spec sheet, as a damage report. Mach 2 plus speed. That's the headline. But speed alone tells you nothing. Here's what it means in combat. China's fastest surface-to-air missile, the HQ-19, tops out at Mach 6. On paper, that sounds dangerous, except a missile can only chase what it can see. The F-47 stealth signature is a completely different generation from the F-22. China spent $50 billion building radar systems calibrated to detect F-22 stealth profiles. The F-47's radar cross-section is entirely different. Their entire radar architecture is now the world's most expensive antique. Combat radius went over 1,000 nautical miles. The F-22 could reach 410 miles before refueling. The F-47 nearly triples that. What does that mean for Taiwan? An F-47 can run a complete strike package over the Taiwan Strait, launched from Guam, without ever entering the range of China's coastal air defense bubble. The HQ-9 batteries lining the Fujian coast, they're watching the wrong horizon. The F-47 is already gone. Adaptive cycle engines. This one is different because the F-47 doesn't just go fast, it chooses when. It can loiter quietly at subsonic speed for extended intelligence operations, then sprint through Chinese airspace at Mach 2 plus in under 8 minutes when targeted. China has to make a strategic choice. Optimize their detection systems for the slow loiter or the fast sprint. They cannot defend against both simultaneously. Ever. But speed, range, and stealth are only half the equation. Because while China's engineers were reverse engineering F-22 exhaust signatures, America quietly solved a completely different problem. Detection. The F-47 carries an integrated distributed aperture system, wrapping the entire airframe in 360-degree gallium nitride AESA arrays. Think of it as 20 radar systems fused into one AI brain. Detection range. Over 500 nautical miles. That is 10 times the sensor reach of the F-35. Every ship, every missile battery, every scrambled J-20, seen and cataloged before a single Chinese radar operator even knows the F-47 is in the hemisphere. And the airframe itself, 60% carbon nanotube composites, 40% lighter than conventional stealth construction. The outer skin is laced with gallium nitride radar-absorbent metamaterials that don't just absorb radar energy, they self-repair. Microcapsules embedded in the structure seal radar reflective damage autonomously during flight. China can shoot at it. They can't permanently degrade it. Then there's the infrared problem, and this one should genuinely alarm Beijing. The F-47's adaptive cycle engines reduce their infrared heat plume by 70% compared to the F-22. Using plasma-actuated flow control technology developed across years of classified X-plane testing, China's most advanced infrared search and track systems, deployed on the J-20 specifically to hunt F-22 class heat signatures, are chasing a ghost. The F-47 runs cooler, quieter, and darker than anything those systems were built to find. Now, here's the part China is actually celebrating right now, and they shouldn't be. In July 2025, the U.S. Air Force quietly canceled the SHIELD program, the Self-Protect High-Energy Laser Demonstrator, an airborne laser designed to shoot down incoming missiles mid-flight. Budget cuts. Technology not ready. China's state media called it a setback for American sixth-generation ambitions. They missed the detail that matters. The F-47 program documents still list directed energy weapons as a planned integration. Not canceled, deferred. The Department of Defense committed $789 million to directed energy programs in fiscal year 2025 alone. The technology isn't dead. It's being matured separately. And the F-47's modular open mission systems architecture was designed from day one to accept a laser weapons bay the moment the technology crosses the threshold. The question is not whether the F-47 will carry a laser. The question is whether China's J-36 will be operational before it does. 2 weeks ago, something happened that almost nobody in mainstream media covered correctly. A prototype autonomous drone, the YFQ-42A built by General Atomics, designed to fly as the F-47's AI wingman, crashed in the California desert on April 6, 2026. Test flights paused immediately. Most outlets called it a setback. They completely missed the real story. You don't crash a production representative aircraft in a test program unless you're already in late-stage operational development. The U.S. Air Force is running these drones so hard, so fast, they're breaking them in the desert. Because fielding timeline is the priority. And within days of that crash, its competitor, Anduril's YFQ-44A Fury, completed its contested operations test. The drone program isn't slowing down, it's accelerating through adversity. Now run the math with me, because this is where China's Air Force planners lose sleep. 185 F-47s planned. Each one functions as an airborne command node, directing 2 AI combat drones initially, scaling to 5 as the program matures. 185 pilots, up to 925 autonomous killers in the sky simultaneously. The real force size isn't 185 jets, it's 185 human decision makers, with nearly 1,000 machines doing the dying for them. Run a war game. China scrambles 60 J-20 to intercept an F-47 strike package over the Taiwan Strait. Standard intercept doctrine. The F-47 pilot never enters visual range. He's 100 miles back, well beyond the J-20's engagement envelope. He pushes 2 Fury drones forward. Autonomous, jet-powered, armed with live munitions. The J-20s engage them. 2 Chinese missiles fired. 2 drones destroyed. Meanwhile, the F-47 pilot fired from standoff range 8 minutes ago. China expended 2 advanced air-to-air missiles and lost 2 J-20S. The F-47 pilot lost 2 $4 million drones and destroyed over $200 million in Chinese air power. He's already turning back toward Guam. That is not a fair fight. That is a structured execution. And here's the part that doesn't make headlines. Even this program has a problem, a serious one. In March 2026, a member of Congress with direct access to the F-47 program confirmed something that quietly rewrote the entire timeline. The F-47 will not reach full operational capability until the mid-2030s. That is not a rumor. That is congressional testimony. America originally planned 750 F-22 Raptors. They built 187. Now they're planning 185 F-47s. And history tells us that number will fall before the program closes. Budget pressures, contractor delays, competing priorities. The same forces that killed 2/3 of the F-22 program are already moving against the F-47, and China knows this. In June 2025, Beijing released footage of the J-36, Chengdu's direct answer to the F-47. Wider fuselage, extended range, designed around directed energy weapon integration. The J-36 is not in mass production, but it is flying, and its development timeline may overlap directly with the F-47's delay window. So here's where we actually stand. Right now, April 2026. America has the most advanced fighter jet in human history, and it won't be fully operational for nearly a decade. China has its 6th-generation response already in the air, and is building against a timeline that America just handed them. The strategic checkmate is real, but the window in which it exists is finite, and that window is narrower than the Air Force planned. There is a 7 to 10-year gap where the F-47, even in limited numbers, holds air dominance that nothing on Earth can challenge. That is the window where the Taiwan question gets answered, where the South China Sea calculus gets locked in, where Pacific deterrence either holds or breaks. The F-47 is not America's next fighter jet. It is a deadline, and the clock is already running. China is not sitting still. They have one hypersonic counterprogram, specifically designed to neutralize the drone swarm doctrine, that has never been covered at this level of detail. When that video drops, you will not want to be 3 episodes behind. Subscribe, because the next chapter starts soon.